Delphix is a database virtualization software solution. Delphix installs on industry-standard x86 servers as a software appliance and can be managed using a standard web browser. On the left, you can see various objects representing both the source physical databases and the virtual databases, also called VDBs, that have been created as clones for our development environment. Once you've got Delphix up and running, it will link to the source physical databases, load data from each of the physical databases into Delphix, and then create a dsource to represent each of the physical databases. Delphix is non-intrusive to the physical databases, requires no software agents, and uses standard database APIs to load the data. In this case, we have three dsources, which represent the physical databases for our CRM, ERP, and HRMS systems. All subsequent incremental changes to the physical databases are also loaded into Delphix, either on a batch or real-time policy basis using Delphix's integrated log shipping and management features. Delphix assembles the initial data load and all subsequent changes to the dsource into what we call a time flow. In the middle of the screen, you can see the time flow for our HRMS database. You can think of time flow as a time machine for databases. You can go to any point in time within the time flow and instantly provision a virtual database. You can even provision virtual databases down to the second, or SCN, using Delphix's LogSync feature. Simply drag the red triangle to the specific point in time that you want. In this case, we are going to provision a virtual database to a specific SCN number. On the right-hand side, you can see the servers that are running the database executables. In this case, a couple of machines running Oracle on Linux that host the physical databases that we link to, and another machine running Oracle on Linux to which we will provision the virtual databases. These could easily be virtual machines running database software as well. All I need to do to finish provisioning my VDB is to click Provision under the target host and then click Finish. In addition, you can change the individual parameter settings or apply templates of parameter settings to a virtual database before provisioning into a development environment. You no longer have to go through extensive scripting or reparameterization processes before making a database usable to developers. You can also apply certain postscripts once a VDB is provisioned. For example, you may have some third-party products or scripts that mask the contents of a database before making it available to developers. In just a few clicks, I've provisioned a fully populated and parameterized Oracle database to a specific SCN. Once we get this VDB provisioned, you can see the new VDB object appear on the left-hand side. Unlike traditional approaches to provisioning databases, the Delphix approach involves no data copying. All of the blocks associated with this new database are already loaded into Delphix. The time it takes to have the new database up and running is limited exclusively to the time it takes Oracle to open up the new database, which is now 50%, 60% complete. Once open, this will be a full functionality read-write database that appears exactly like a physical database to users and applications. Delphix is highly space efficient in how it creates and manages VDBs, so it is possible to create several clones of your physical database while only consuming small incremental amounts of storage. Let's take a look at the key metrics page to highlight the storage space savings benefit more closely. As you can see here, Delphix provides space savings in two key areas: the amount of space used to keep several days or weeks worth of physical database history, and the amount of space used to support the VDBs. Because Delphix employs an incremental forever approach and never loads a full copy of the database after the initial load, you can store several days or weeks worth of database copies in the space of one. This is what we call the time flow ratio, and in this case it is 44:1. The second key space savings is the VDB ratio. Because VDBs only create new database blocks for writes or updates, they are far more space efficient than a full physical clone. In this case, we are seeing a VDB storage savings ratio of 36:1. This number will only get better as we add more VDBs. Delphix provides a very simple dashboard to see how the virtual databases are operating. You can see a running log of all activities performed through the Delphix server on the left-hand side. And in the middle, you can see CPU activity, memory activity, disk, and network activity. And on the right, you can see the total available capacity for the Delphix server, along with the performance characteristics of all the various objects on the Delphix server, including both VDBs and dsources. Speaking of performance, there are many performance benefits to running production database clones as virtual databases. Because most of the copies share largely the same data, there is a high performance benefit to caching the more frequently accessed data. Delphix Server also acts as a Tier 2 cache for the VDBs, and in many cases customers see near native or better than native performance for VDBs due to the increased cache hit ratios. Additionally, Delphix provides several levers to closely monitor and control resource contention between VDBs. On this screen, you can see the granularity of performance history provided by Delphix. You can also easily set priorities for VDBs or D sources to guarantee preferred access to disk or network resources ahead of the lower priority objects. Delphix also allows you to define synchronization and retention policies on a very granular basis for individual objects or groups of objects. For example, you may choose to refresh one D source on an ad hoc basis, but another one on an hourly basis. Delphix also has enterprise-grade user management and permissions capabilities to secure access and privileges to specific objects. There are several other enterprise-oriented features of Delphix, including audit logs, the ability to replicate to a backup Delphix server, and several types of operational reports. In summary, Delphix is a compelling solution that eliminates the redundant infrastructure that typically supports every production database, and automates and simplifies the mundane processes and tasks involved in refreshing or restoring databases.